Hello everyone, Godbrand here. Second video on the channel. We're going to be doing Tanuki figures Endeavour. I blew this up to quarter scale. It was originally 1/6. I think all theirs are 1/6 as standard. Blew it up to quarter scale. That'll be 46 centimeters. Already primed, already sanded. Took fucking years, but I did it, especially the clear, good lord. So I did hollow the clear bits out a little bit, not too much, a little bit. I was a little scared they wouldn't print if I didn't, because of how big they are, except for the little pieces. They're completely solid. If you don't know, when you're doing clear pieces like this, you want to do them solid for the most part. If they're really big, you're kind of going to have to hollow them out, but in the shoes you can kind of see you can see something's going on in there, but once I cover it with paint, I don't think you'll notice as much when it's all fiery looking. Tanuki figures, they make banging models. What can I say? The first video was a Batman Who Laughs. Forgive me for my transgressions on that video. I filmed the thing in portrait mode and landscape. What a fucking headache. I almost did backflips watching that, having my aspect ratio just fucking... I fixed that now. Phone is in landscape 24/7. Got a new mic right here. So now I'm gonna probably try and do commentary as I'm doing the action. I don't know if that'll be better or worse. We'll just try it, see how it goes, and hopefully the video won't be so fucking long. Good lord, my bad. Without further ado, let's get into the model and the pieces we're going to be doing. Okay, forgive the mess of parts everywhere. I'm a mess. We have a logo. This is probably going to be the most annoying part of the whole thing. It's because it has a mixture of blacks, yellow and red, I think, which is all very conflicting colors, so can't wait. These clouds, these were just primed in not Chaos Black, his white cousin. I don't remember what it's called. The base. Now this was in 4 parts. I joined this together using an epoxy type glue. This stuff is pretty good. It takes a lot longer to dry than super glue, but the bond in the end is a lot stronger. I only really use that for connecting huge chunks like this together. When it comes to larger pieces like this, you need to get rid of the seam the best you can. Now I haven't done perfect here, but I've done pretty good. The most obvious spots are right here on the sides. Now I could do better with this, but I think by the time I'm done it'll be barely noticeable anyway. But using milliput, we've filled in the gaps. You can hardly even see them anymore. Goes all the way up there, all the way down there, splits off, splits. We don't care about these pieces because the boots are going over the top of that, so you're not going to see it. So after that, I primed it black, Chaos Black, the best primer, the most costly primer, the easiest to use primer. It's a lot of things, cheap is not one of them. Okay, moving on, we have the clear. Now I printed this in Soraya Tech clear. This stuff prints pretty well. This is a little bit yellower compared to some of my other bits, but even still, it still looks great. I did hollow this, but I made it really thick. This is at least 4-5 mil thick. Maybe even 8 mil thick. The pants, all the body, just straight Chaos Black, looks incredible. I do print these, if that was the bed, I do print these anytime I'm doing legs like that. That way, when you support it, the supports only have a tiny bit to grab, a little bit on the nuts, quads, a little bit on the hams, and then it just supports itself because it's standing straight up. And so since I've done that, there is no support marks to be seen anywhere. The only place was on the top of this rim, and that was really easy to sand. Even though it doesn't look sanded, I haven't even sanded that at all. Still clips perfect. And that's another thing to Tanuki's advantage. They just cut and make everything fit so well. Torso is the same thing. Now, you will get support marks no matter what way you orientate this. I use an X-Acto knife, one of these, and I chip slowly at each individual support mark. Very gently, not to carve out huge pieces, because if you just sand this, you're gonna lose all that texture and you're never getting it back. So I chip as much as I can away, and then I use a fine grit sandpaper and I go over it lightly. You are losing some of the detail, but compared to what it was, or if you just went crazy with some fucking sandpaper, this is a much better result. And this was the other piece that was printed clear, the other big piece that was hollowed out. Now I had to use the X-Acto knife and sandpaper a lot for this one because there was marks everywhere. Face pieces. These are printed solid because they're small and they're easy, and yeah, they're just so clear. Like, I'm shocked they worked so well. I don't even know why. Soraya Tech's usually pretty good, but it's usually not this good. We will be starting off with a zenithal highlight on the face, because this is the only piece of skin on this model. The head's separate with pretty much nothing except hair on it, so we can do the skin for this face, put it aside, do the entire rest of the model, and then we'll come back to this. Okay, white ink from Vallejo. This is for the zenithal highlight. Zenithal meaning the light source, imaginary light source coming from up above, down. You pretty much just assume all the model's zenithal is going straight up, down, and that's the light source. So we add this white ink in a top-down type of way. That's it for the zenith. Alright, we got the undertones for the skin now. Using Warlord Purple by Vallejo. And we're pretty much just putting this in the airbrush and covering almost the whole model. Skin, I mean. Primed skin. Alright, it's been 24 hours and we're moving on to the base while shit dries. I put a satin varnish on everything that I just did before, the pink stuff I mean. Now for the base, if you look at the reference, all these parts are all like broken road, that's molten. And then this is like mud. So We're gonna do the mud first. I'm thinking Rhinox hide, a stipple, and then I might move on to like a light dry brush with Blade brown. I don't know, we'll see how I'm feeling, but this is supposed to be like brown mud type stuff. And that's looking pretty good. It's not completely like just a flat brown over everything. It's in bits and pieces. So then I'm gonna go over with a dry brush, and there's gonna be a lot of variance now because I didn't just cover every square inch of it. I now have the Blade brown. I didn't wash the brushes, doesn't really matter if a little bit gets on because it's just brown with brown. We'll see how it looks doing a dry brush now. Okay, I'm thinking that looks pretty good. It's not that colourful, but this is like the least interesting part of the model, is this mud. We're gonna try grey for the road bits, and then the molten is gonna be a little tricky. I've not tried that before, and I need to figure out if I'm gonna undercoat that in metallics and then go red over the top because it's a red fire hydrant, or if I don't know, dry brush steel onto it. Who knows? I'm going to use Stonewell Grey by Vallejo. Put a little bit on the brush. Go over the surface, but I actually want to get a smaller brush. I'm using a generic makeup brush here. I need to use a smaller brush and like hit the edges a bit harder rather than the tops of these, because these need to stay black for the most part, but we'll see. Now, I don't know what this brush is typically used for, but I'm going to use this thing. It's called a dry brush, but it's got really stiff bristles on it, and they're like straight, unlike, I don't know, like this, where it's like fluffy. These are like straight and crude. I'm going to use that and try and get into the crevasses. What do you think? I got no idea. Alright, it's been another day. My phone ran out of battery, so I stopped filming, but I kept going. Pretty much, I masked around this. I was using a brush to wipe this out. This is supposed to be a red fire hydrant, and it was taking too long, and it wasn't even coming up very good, so I just masked it. I'm now going to put gory red from Vallejo, game color edition, through the airbrush, and we're just going to spray it. Alright, it's looking pretty clean after a quick tidy up with the brush. However, there's still some dark spots, and rather than painting it white and then red again, like under here, I'm just going to use some of this muddy ground effects from AK Interactive. This stuff's very good. It's kind of like wet cement, and then it dries after it's been exposed to the air. So I'm just gonna use a cotton tip. I'm just gonna dab that around, because this is supposed to be muddy shit, so. Doing a quick vibe check on the clouds once they're all down, and it's looking pretty good. Could go darker, you could leave it as is, could go brighter, whatever. It's a little speckly because of how my airbrush was playing up. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. But whatever, they're just clouds. It's not that much of a big deal. We're going to do a little bit of dry brushing metallic over the fire hydrant now. So I've actually got some metal, I don't know what you call this, it's for washing the dishes. You know what I'm talking about? I've got a little bit of Vallejo metallic silver on a cloth, paper towel, sorry. I'm just going to dip that on, wipe off most of it. I don't know if this is going to work, I'm just trying. And dab. See that getting used for like a mech or something, getting damaged. However, I think just using this for this use case will be better, so I'm going to do that. Pretty nice. And then I'm going to use a panel liner, by Tamiya. This stuff's great. You would have seen this in... And just having a dab ready. Just put that over the most metallic looking parts. We don't want to just leave it on the dab. Chunk that off. Because I don't want it to pool up and dry pooled up. That won't leave me with an effect I really want. And I don't want to just like apply it blatantly over a flat surface like that. This is really meant for like things like this. There's a bunch of like little recesses and stuff. You kind of just go over. You let it seep into all the cracks. And realistically, you should never do the mud effects and things of the sort until after you've done all this metal stuff. Because the mud is going to be like the final layer over the top. So that was me doing things out of order. Don't copy that. Finally starting on the skin properly. I'm using a thinner skin. Typically this is something you'd use for like a woman, but all anime characters, even their angry men, look like pretty ladies, so that's what he gets. And this layer pretty much goes over every part of the skin. So this is a nice even layer. Not super thick, but you definitely want to cover everything. The next layers we've got to be a bit more careful. Alright, second tone. We're using Flat Flesh by Vallejo. This is not covering every square inch this time, but relatively close. We have now basic skin tone, going even lighter now. It is now time for the clear parts to be painted fire. I'm going to be covering all of them in a transparent orange, and we'll work our way up from there. Now, you can put orange pigment in the vat when you're printing it, so it prints orange already all the way through, rather than just over the surface of the model. However, I didn't do that. I didn't feel like doing that, and I'm probably not going to do that in the future. Unless it's like a green lantern and you like buy the green resin and just print all these parts in green, because that would make sense. But I'm just going to be doing it this way. Also, on a separate note, I've discovered this recently. This is a liter, 10 shots, 70 milligrams of caffeine per 100 mil. So that's 70 times 10. And only 217 kilojoules per 100 mil. That's about 40 calories. So if you're on the cut like I am, good shit. Okay, next layer for the fire. I fucked up a little bit. I was supposed to do transparent yellow, then orange, then red. I went straight to orange, so we're just gonna have to make do. We're on to transparent red now. Now, if you're wondering how I'm spraying this or what logic I'm using to spray in certain spots, I'm just going by the reference. And this reference doesn't really make a whole lot of sense the way the colors are. But like, you can do it however you want. I just usually like to follow the reference to a T. It's a bit more fun for me that way. This is redder than the reference, but you know, take a little bit of liberty. Don't spray too much because you don't want to drown out the other color. This is all transparent shit, so everything needs to be visible. You want to be able to see every color, at least a little bit. Now I'm trying to get like the real gutsy part of the flame with the red, and then I'm kind of letting the outsides stand out a bit more with the oranges and the yellows. I haven't got to the yellows part yet, but you'll see what I mean. Very gentle with the airbrush. We're not going crazy here. And then I'm just kind of hitting the same spots on the opposite side. See, we're looking pretty good. You can still see both of those flavors really nicely, which is what we're after, so that's good. Now keep in mind, I want to go back over the very tips with the yellow. That's why I'm kind of not shooting the tips with the red. And I'm also not hitting the very bottoms with the red, because the reference kind of has the very bottom of the fire and the very tips not red. So I had to kind of sneak in and around different parts here, but I think we're looking pretty good. It'll look really good once we cover it in gloss after everything, which is what really brings out the transparency effect. Looking pretty good. Yes, sir. Okay, moving on to the last of the fire. I didn't have transparent, so I'm using ink, yellow ink from Vallejo. Ink is already watered down, so it's like the next best thing if you can't find transparent. And again, just shooting for the very tips of the flames. See how we go. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty fucking happy with that. Now, just to let them dry, about 30 minutes, give or take, and then the fun part, which will be the gloss. Moving on. The cloth. I'm going to be using ultramarine blue, just covering everything. That's this cloth. And we'll probably use one darker color for the recesses. That's good. We'll leave that to dry and I'll whip up some more paint and do the other bits. Next batch is up. All right, we are on to the recesses in the blue. I don't know if this is, I might spray this once and then throw it out immediately. It's an express color, Mystic Blue. Very, very watered down already. I still water it down to go on the brush, but yeah, very vibrant, but very dark. So we'll see how we go. Drakenhof Nightshade. I'm putting it in raw, unfiltered. Off screen. I've masked the face and used silly putty for the tricky parts up at the hairline. Pushing the silly putty a little past the hairline so there's no paint going onto the skin. Because I can fix the hair, I can't really fix the skin. And I'm just using gory red, same as the red hydrant, fire hydrant, sorry. Go. I have since done the hair red. A little bit shoddy. You can actually see there's lines just where the hairline are. Don't worry about that, it's going to be covered up for the most part, so I'm not caring that much. The eyeballs I'm going to do now. I'm going to be covering both the eye and eyebrow with matte black. And then we have to put the sclera up the eye, which is the white, back in. And that should be the eyes. top of the eyebrows. I don't really know how to get them, but we're looking pretty clean, so. Alrighty, I've been masking this for hours. We need to get the band parts all orange, and I just didn't want to do that with a brush, so I masked it. Now we've got to spray it white and then orange. The white underneath so the orange pops. And we're back to orange fire. Result is pretty good, pretty clean. Not the best it could be, but it wasn't too bad. And now we have one of the more fun parts of the video. I'm going to be gluing the clear onto the face. Now, off camera, I did put the whites into the eyes. I do need to put a gloss over these eyes. I'll do that beforehand actually. And also, I scuffed the nose, but my fuck up first of all, but the reason that doesn't matter is because the visor fully covers it. So, lucky for me, we're just gonna leave it as is. I'm just gonna stay and hold this for at least a couple minutes. This is the main piece, just to make sure it stays put. Alright, we've got the logo. I've already masked the bottom and primed the top white. The words need to be yellow and this needs to be red, so I'm just going to shoot the whole thing red. And then we'll just do the surface of the words with white and then yellow. Because yellow is a really fussy colour and it needs to be over white. Sign's looking pretty good. We're just going to do white over the top of the words now. I'm going to do both of them at the same time. You can do the edges, but like that's so much fucking work and good lord. I'm just not in the mood. Alrighty, it's been another day. I have put 5+ layers of white on these fucking words that you can still see through the white, but good lord, I'm not doing another one. I'm also getting progressively more sick every second.
clean as fuck. Now again, I didn't do the side, top, bottom, inside profile of the words because that would literally take forever. So just fucking did the top. That's all that really matters in this case. I'm gonna coat that in gloss now and move on to the gloves. Okay, now we're moving on to the belt buckle, and this is supposed to be like white or really washed out grey, but I don't think that even looks like better. So I'm just gonna leave it black and do the button and just this little thing here, also in this rich gold from Pro Acryl. Pro Acryl does really good metallics if you're looking for one, by the way. And yeah. Right, approaching one of our last steps, the metallic on the gloves. I'll be using chrome. It's chrome air, meaning it's like thinned down more already, from Vallejo. This is very good through an airbrush, and I'm pretty sure it works just as well through a regular brush. So let's see how we go. Alright, I'm going to leave it at that for the moment. I'll let it dry. I'm probably going to add another coat of paint, mainly focusing on this side because this side's going to be faced in towards the chest. But it's looking pretty sweet.
I ended the footage there and didn't really film anymore, but I did shoot a montage that I'm now going to show straight after this clip. And I just wanted to preface, I have a big yap session, specifically for people trying to get better, or for anyone that maybe looks at my models and thinks they're really good. It's a big yap session, feel free to skip it. And I know this has been a bit of a dog shit, like, editing type of job. I'm doing it from my phone and I'm trying to do it like in a couple hour span after I've finished filming everything. I know it's not very good, and if you have any clue on how I can do better, please let me know. And yeah, enjoy the montage. Bye.
Well, we're done. It was pretty fun. Forgive the voice. I still sound like absolute shit. I've been sick for like 4 days. I've just been getting sicker and sicker as the painting's been going on. And now I'm at my teenage voice break
level of sick. So forgive me. Couple of things. What can we improve on from that model? I think I can sand a bit better, and I could have done the molten lava look a little different. It's too orange, I think, but it was my first time trying it. Important thing to note for anyone that comes from Reddit or Facebook or wherever and watches this video, thinking I do like nice models, and aspires to like be able to do stuff of the quality that I do, which isn't, you know, out of this world, but it's decent. It's not that hard to do, and that might sound silly to say, but where I find people struggle is they don't put in the time per statue to get a statue done. For instance, you might see some of these more unfortunate looking statues people have done, and the problem is they did it in an afternoon. Like, you can't do a quarter scale statue and paint it nicely in a day. Like, it's just not gonna happen. I can't fucking do that. You can't do that. I don't think anyone can. So if you're doing like these big statues, just like do it over a week at minimum, because it really does take time. And another thing, I would say painting statues of this size is more a knowledge game than a skill game. For instance, like painting skin. It's not common knowledge that to paint skin, you put down your primer, you put down a zenithal highlight, you put down a layer of pink, and then you put down a further 2, 3, 4, 5 skin tones. Like, someone who doesn't know how to paint doesn't know that. And so when they try and paint skin and it looks flat and it looks like shit, it's not because they didn't do the right things with their hand in the brush. It's because they didn't know all those prerequisites. They needed to be putting down like 5 other layers before they get to the skin. And the problem I find is people, they just don't ever seem to learn. They're just like, oh, I didn't paint neatly. But it's like, no, you just need to watch like more videos and gather more information, and you'll know how to do this. Like chrome, for instance. The way to paint chrome to make it look chromey is it has to be over gloss black. That doesn't necessarily make sense to the layman, but when you know how to paint, or if you've been, you know, gathering information, that's something you know. So especially if you're going to airbrush it on, chrome looks much better over black, gloss over the black, than the chrome. And that brings out the real shininess in the chrome. But people just don't know that, and they don't get to know that. So if you're like wanting to do better models, you just need to learn more. I watched probably close to 80 hours worth of videos just going over people doing these models before I ever painted my first. And that's why my first was a lot better than what, you know, I might see other people doing. It's not because I know how to paint, and it's not because I'm good with my hands. I most definitely don't have the innate skills to paint well. I can't paint on a canvas. I can't draw. I don't have any of these skills. But if you know the information, you know, outside of a couple of very pinpoint detailed type parts on a model, it's practically a 3D colouring in book. You just need to know how to put those underlayers on first. So yeah, my number one takeaway is just learn more. Don't worry so much about how steady your hand is with the brush. Just take the time per model. If you're trying to do like an entire portrait in, you know, an hour, what are you doing? Like, you're rushing it for nothing. If this is going on your shelf and it's gonna sit there, personally, my standard for myself is this like an expensive statue I would buy from a shop if I wanted it? Would it be up to my standard for that? So hold yourself to a high standard and just try and, you know, get there. I'm not going to tell you to do something like, oh, just try, just give it a go. Just giving it a go doesn't lead to anything positive when you don't know how the layers are supposed to be layered. You need to learn that first, and it's not hard to learn. You just need to learn it. Watching all the different videos, you'll see the same trends in how people do things pop up over and over, and then you just memorize these things that people are doing, like the skin, for example, the prime, the zenith, the pink, and then, you know, so and so forth with the other skin colors. And people have different versions of doing things, but for the most part, these things are the same. So do yourself a favor. If you want to get really good at painting, it's not, and I'm not calling myself a really good painter, by the way. I taught myself and touched my first model at November 2024, and it's now, mid-May 2025. Like, if I can get from niche to, you know, the Endeavour statue that I just did in that time, like, anyone can do it. It's just a matter of I put in the time to watch and to learn, and then I, over the course of a week, would do a statue. So just respect the statue, respect the time that it takes to do it. Don't, you know, just print out 50 statues and just constantly paint them without getting to learn those layers. Because once you learn them, it's just a matter of getting it right in your execution, which is a lot easier than you think it is. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna be trying to get 2 videos like this out every week. Every 1 video every 2 weeks. Fuck. I would not be able to get 2 in a week right now with a job. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something good out of it. These videos aren't necessarily like how-to guides. I'm kind of titling them that way, but it's more so just a documentation of what I'm doing, and so I can later reflect and see my progress as I go, because I'm still learning very much every single statue I'm doing. I've got a lot to learn with skin and, you know, other metallics and weathering and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to be documenting it on this channel for you to see. Hopefully you learn something from me, and you know, everyone wins in the end that way. If you liked it, please sub, and let me know in the comments if you have a particular character you want me to do. I've already got like a plethora ready to go. I just need to decide what I'm going to do next. But I'd love to hear your feedback, if you have any, on how I can improve this video taking format and, yeah, everything. Anyways, peace.